The lake had always been mine, at least on paper. When I bought the 5-acre lot 10 years ago, the deed clearly stated that the 2.3-acre spring-fed lake sat entirely within my property line. The old surveyor stakes were still there, half buried under pine needles. My neighbors in Lakeview Estates knew it. The title company knew it, and until 6 months ago, even the HOA board pretended to know it. Then Karen Whitmore happened. Karen was the newly self-appointed vice president of aesthetic compliance, which everyone understood meant professional busybody. She moved into the oversized McMansion at the top of the hill with her yappy Maltese and an ego the size of Texas. Within weeks, she decided the lake was a community asset being selfishly hoarded and started swimming laps every morning at 6 a.m. sharp, neon swim cap cutting through my water like a shark fin. I asked her politely to stop. She laughed, called me territorial, and posted on the HOA Facebook group that I was gatekeeping nature. The next week, bright orange community swim hours signs appeared along my shoreline. When I tore them down, she had the HOA fine me $250 a day for vandalism of association property. That's when I ordered the crocodile. His name is officially Gustav, 14 feet of saltwater, apex predator imported from a reptile sanctuary in Florida that was shutting down. I have all the permits, Florida Fish and Wildlife, federal transport papers, a custom 40-foot heated enclosure with a submerged viewing tunnel. The lake is deep enough in the center, 38 feet, and the water stays a steady 74 degrees from the spring. Gustav took to it like he was born there. I never planned to let him loose. The enclosure was escape-proof, double-fenced, triple-locked. I just wanted Karen to see him the first time she trespassed again. I wanted her to understand that some boundaries have teeth. She showed up the very next Saturday for the first annual Lakeview Estates Polar Bear Plunge. 50 residents in matching HOA t-shirts, Karen front and center in a Stars and Stripes bikini, waving an American flag pool noodle like she was liberating Normandy. I stood on my dock with a cup of coffee and watched. The crocodile enclosure has an underwater gate for cleaning. I may have left it unlatched. Karen dove in first, perfect racing dive, screaming, "This lake belongs to all of us!" as she surfaced. Gustav surfaced 30 seconds later. The scream started as a victory whoop and ended as something prehistoric. Karen was mid-freestyle, 20 yards offshore, when Gustav rose beneath her like a living submarine. His snout broke the surface first, scarred, barnacled, the size of a kayak. Then the eyes, black and depthless. Then the jaws already open. He took her left leg at mid-thigh in a single, almost gentle clamp. There was no dramatic thrash, no movie-style death roll. Just the soft, wet sound of a tree branch snapping under snow and Karen's body suddenly tilting sideways. One leg now pointed the wrong direction. For one heartbeat, the entire shoreline froze. 50 grown adults in patriotic swimsuits, mouths open, phones half raised. Someone's child started laughing because they thought it was a prank. Then the blood fanned out, bright arterial red against the morning glare, and the screaming began in waves. Karen herself didn't scream at first. She stared down at the place where her leg used to be, with the calm confusion of someone who's just been told the bank made an error. Then the pain hit. She inhaled half the lake and came up shrieking my name. "Seth, you psychopath! You did this!" I sipped my coffee. It had gone lukewarm, but I wasn't moving. Gustav submerged with the leg still in his mouth. Clean amputation, almost surgical. The water closed over him like a theater curtain. Karen tried to swim for shore with one leg and both arms, leaving a red wake that looked like a candy cane dissolving. 3 men dove in to help. Brave, stupid men. Gustav resurfaced 20 feet away, casually chewing, and they reconsidered their life choices. One of them, Greg from Lot 14, the guy who always mowed his lawn in socks and sandals, made it to Karen and started dragging her toward my dock. She was punching him in the face, still screaming my name like I was going to throw her a rope. I didn't. Instead, I set my coffee down, walked to the end of the dock, and looked straight into her eyes as Greg hauled her up the ladder. The severed stump was pumping in rhythm with her heartbeat. She locked onto me, mascara rivers down her cheeks. "You are finished," she gurgled through pink foam. I smiled the small, polite smile I usually save for Jehovah's Witnesses. "Karen," I said, loud enough for every phone recording to catch it, "You're trespassing." The ambulances took 23 minutes. In rural Florida, that's considered priority response. By then, Karen had gone from shrieking to whispering, somewhere between prayer and death threat, while neighbors pressed beach towels and an American flag picnic blanket against what was left of her thigh. Someone found a belt and cinched it above the wound like they'd seen on YouTube. The belt had a "Don't Tread on Me" buckle. The irony was not lost on me. Gustav floated in the middle of the lake, motionless, only his eyes and nostrils above water. Every time a drone flew overhead trying to get footage, he sank just enough to ruin the shot. "Smart bastard!" The first deputy who arrived was Tommy Alvarez, a kid I went to high school with. He took one look at the blood-soaked dock, the hysterical crowd, the floating crocodile, and me calmly drinking the last of my coffee, and said the only reasonable thing, "Seth, what in the actual hell?" I handed him the folder I'd prepared 6 months ago. Property survey, deed, permits for Gustav, copies of every cease and desist I'd sent the HOA, screenshots of Karen's Facebook posts declaring the lake public domain by moral right, and the $47,500 in fines they'd tried to levy on me. On top was the sheriff's own wildlife permit approval signed in blue ink. Tommy flipped through it, mouth twitching. "You planned this." "I planned to protect my property," I corrected. "Nature did the rest." Karen was airlifted out on a Coast Guard helicopter. Apparently crocodile attacks bump you to the front of the trauma queue. As the chopper lifted off, she managed to flip me the bird with the hand that wasn't hooked to an IV. The crowd started turning ugly. Someone threw a lawn chair at my fence. Another neighbor, the one who'd once reported me for excessive Christmas lights, screamed that I was a murderer. I let them scream. Every phone in a half-mile radius was live streaming. By noon, the video had 1.2 million views, and the hashtag Karen vs. Croc was trending above politics. That's when the news trucks arrived, and that's when Gustav decided to give them an encore. The encore was Karen's leg. Gustav surfaced near the news drone that was hovering too low, opened his jaws, and delicately placed the severed limb on the water like a waiter presenting an entree. The leg, still wearing a neon pink swim fin, bobbed upright for a perfect 5-second shot before sinking again. The drone pilot screamed on live television. Ratings exploded. Within hours, the internet crowned me 2 things at once: American hero and domestic terrorist. GoFundMe took down my defense fund at $1.4 million. Someone else started a new one titled Gustav's Gourmet Treats and hit 2 million before breakfast. Karen survived, barely. They saved the knee joint, which the surgeons called a miracle, and fitted her for a carbon fiber prosthetic, shaped like a dolphin fin, because the internet demanded it. She did her first post-amputation interview from the hospital bed. Eyes wild, hair perfect, voice trembling with righteous fury. "That lake is community property," she declared to the CNN anchor. "One man and his monster will not intimidate us." The anchor asked if she planned to swim again. Karen smiled the same smile she'd used when fining me for unapproved mailbox color. "As soon as this leg is ready," she said, patting the dolphin fin. "I'm going back in. The people deserve access." The clip got 87 million views. 3 weeks later, she returned. National Guard helicopters overhead, news boats, protesters on both sides waving signs that read, "Free Gustav and Croc Lives Matter." Karen stood at the shoreline in a wetsuit. New fin gleaming live on every network. She raised a fist. "This lake belongs to everyone." She stepped in. Gustav was waiting. This time he didn't bite. He simply rose beneath her, slow and deliberate, and nudged her backward with his snout, gentle as a golden retriever. Karen windmilled, fell on her ass in 2 feet of water, and scrambled back to shore screaming that the crocodile had assaulted her. The footage looped for weeks. The courts ruled the lake is mine. The HOA dissolved. Karen moved to Arizona for the dry air. My GoFundMe hit 32 million before they froze it. I still swim every morning at 6 a.m. sharp. Gustav floats beside me, eyes half closed, content. Some boundaries, once enforced, never need enforcing again.